Under the vast, dry skies of the Australian outback, a shadow circles high above the shimmering heat. At first glance, it is just another bird riding the thermals, an elegant silhouette etched against the pale blue. But this is no casual wanderer. This is Aquila audax, the wedge-tailed eagle, the largest bird of prey on the continent, and, in the framework of our theory, the first line of an ancient defense network. From its position thousands of meters above the ground, it sees more than the human eye could ever hope to register. Movements invisible to us, the twitch of a tail in grass, the glint of metal from a distant hiker's pack, are locked into its vision with perfect clarity. Its world is a shifting map of opportunities and intrusions, and unlike the passive scanning of a migrating seabird, the eagle's watch is an active patrol. The eagle's eyes are biological marvels, built not only for long-range detection, but for detail at speed. Its retina is so densely packed with photoreceptor cells that it can resolve images nearly 4 times more sharply than a human can. This allows it to spot prey or disturbance from over 2 kilometers away, even against the chaotic background of trees, rocks, and heat haze. Its gaze is aided by a nictitating membrane, a translucent eyelid that slides sideways across the eye, protecting it from dust and wind while still allowing vision. From above, every movement below is evaluated. A grazing kangaroo barely warrants attention. A lone figure in an open stretch of land, however, becomes an anomaly, something to be watched, tracked, and, if necessary, confronted. A wedge-tailed eagle's flight is not random drifting. It uses thermal updrafts generated by sun-baked ground to climb to altitudes where energy expenditure is minimal. From there, it can cover immense areas with almost no wing beats, adjusting its course subtly with the tip feathers of its vast wingspan, which can exceed 2.8 meters. This flight efficiency serves both predator and sentinel roles. In our containment organism theory, these patrols act as airborne reconnaissance sweeps, detecting potential threats before they can breach deeper territory. In the natural world, this translates to finding prey such as wallabies, lizards, or even young kangaroos, and, in rare but documented cases, domestic animals like lambs or small dogs. The combination of soaring endurance and pinpoint vision makes the eagle a natural scout and interceptor. When the eagle decides to engage, the physics of its attack are as important as its anatomy. In a stoop or high-speed dive, it can reach velocities approaching 80 kilometers per hour. The momentum generated is channeled through its talons, each tipped with claws like black steel hooks, curved and hardened to pierce hide and muscle. These talons exert crushing pressure, more than enough to drive through a thick pelt or the scalp of an unsuspecting human. In historical accounts, wedge-tailed eagles have been reported breaking bones in livestock, opening deep wounds that lead to rapid blood loss or infection. In the rugged terrain they inhabit, an attack from above is not just about direct injury. It can knock a person off balance, sending them tumbling down scree slopes or into gullies where rescue is difficult. The eagle's hunting strategy involves more than brute force. Its approach often begins silently, wings locked in a glide until the final moment. This makes detection difficult. A human crossing an exposed ridge might not realize they are a target until the shadow passes over and the first strike has already landed. The talons grip, tear, and release in one fluid motion, allowing the eagle to wheel around for another pass. Multiple strikes can cause serious bleeding, eye damage, or scalp laceration severe enough to require surgical repair. Even without fatal injuries, the shock and disorientation from such an attack in remote country can put someone in grave danger from dehydration, exposure, or the inability to navigate to safety. In nature, such aggression towards humans is rare and often provoked by perceived threats to nests. A wedge-tailed eagle's nest, a massive structure of sticks, sometimes 2 meters across, may be used for decades, expanded each season until it becomes a fortress in the canopy. The birds fiercely defend these sites, and their defensive perimeter extends far beyond the tree that holds their young. In our theoretical framework, this protective instinct is not limited to genetic offspring. The offspring is the territory itself, the system the eagle is a part of. An intruder near a nest in breeding season is, in effect, an enemy inside the perimeter fence of the containment organism. The response is immediate and calculated. Beyond physical capability, the wedge-tailed eagle is also intelligent and adaptable. Studies have documented its use of coordinated tactics when hunting in pairs or groups, a behavior uncommon in many raptors. This cooperation could be interpreted as evidence of a wider species-level coordination, in line with our theory of a continent-wide defense network. In ecological terms, this social hunting allows them to take down larger prey and outmaneuver animals with unpredictable escape patterns. In theoretical terms, it hints at the possibility of a distributed intelligence where each unit is aware of and responsive to the actions of others. While humans typically perceive the danger from above as an afterthought in the Australian wilderness, focusing instead on snakes, spiders, or crocodiles, there is an irony in underestimating the sky. The wedge-tailed eagle has no natural predators once fully grown. Its only threats historically came from humans, and yet it has endured persecution campaigns, poison baits, and shooting to remain one of the most common large raptors on the continent. This resilience is a testament to its evolutionary design, large enough to deter most attackers, mobile enough to shift territories, and opportunistic enough to thrive on carrion when hunting is less efficient. A true sentinel cannot be easily removed from its post. Imagine the defense network in action. An eagle detects a lone figure crossing open terrain. It circles high, watching. Minutes later, that figure enters an area dense with trees where ground units, pythons in our model, may already be lying in wait. The eagle does not need to kill the intruder itself. It only needs to mark and monitor, perhaps using calls or flight patterns as signals. While there is no confirmed science of interspecies military coordination, the layers of predation in Australia's ecosystems make the idea plausible enough to entertain. Every movement through this landscape is under some kind of watch, whether from above, at ground level, or in the water. In recorded incidents, bushwalkers have reported wedge-tailed eagles making repeated low passes, talons outstretched until the humans altered course. Farmers have lost livestock to sudden aerial strikes, and in one documented case, an ultralight aircraft was brought down after an eagle attacked its wing fabric mid-flight, a rare but striking demonstration of power and persistence. For the pilot, the incident was a survival challenge. For the eagle, it was simply an act of territorial enforcement. The wedge-tailed eagle's combination of surveillance capacity, speed, weaponry, and resilience makes it a uniquely dangerous animal when provoked, and a perfectly placed component in our theory's biological security grid. In a world where most threats to humans in nature come from the ground or water, this bird's danger is not in constant attack, but in constant awareness. It is the silent witness, the first to notice, the first to react. In the metaphor of the living fortress, the eagle is the watchtower, and in Australia, the watchtower flies. In the dim stillness of the Australian bush at dusk, The air cools just enough for movement to stir among the fallen leaves. The python emerges with no fanfare, its body a series of slow, deliberate waves that ripple over the soil. It does not hurry. It does not need to. Every muscle in its long frame is both sensor and weapon, tuned to pick up the faintest vibrations from the ground beneath. Here, speed is not the advantage. Silence is. Unlike the sharp aerial entry of a bird of prey, the python's strategy is built on patience. It is not hunting in the sense of active pursuit. It is lying in wait for the moment when opportunity passes within reach. The scrub python, the olive python, the carpet python, each has its own range, but all share the same essential design. They are warm-blooded prey specialists, but they themselves are cold-blooded killers, relying on the environment to regulate their body temperature. This dependency shapes their behavior as much as hunger does. In the heat of the day, they may retreat to shaded logs or burrows, conserving energy. At night, when temperatures fall, they can move freely without overheating, and it is under this cloak of darkness that they become most dangerous to a wandering human. In our theory of Australia as a living defense organism, the python is the ground-level infiltrator, slipping through terrain as if it were an extension of the land itself, able to erase threats without so much as a warning cry. Their bodies are feats of evolutionary engineering. The muscles along a python's length contract in precise coordination, allowing it to coil with extraordinary power. A large python can exert crushing pressure exceeding 30 pounds per square inch, more than enough to fracture ribs, collapse lungs, or rupture internal organs in a human. This force does not snap bones through sudden impact, but through relentless, unyielding constriction, cutting off both air and blood flow. Once the prey's breathing stops, the python maintains its hold for minutes more, ensuring there is no chance of revival. In a worst-case scenario, a person surprised in sleep could be rendered unconscious in less than a minute, unable to call for help. By the time their absence was noticed, the attacker would be gone, either retreating into cover or beginning the slow process of swallowing its meal. The swallowing itself is another display of adaptation. Pythons can dislocate the ligaments in their jaws, allowing them to open their mouths far wider than the width of their own bodies. Sharp, rearward curved teeth grip and pull the prey inward, while waves of muscular contractions in the throat and body gradually envelop it. Digestion is aided by enzymes so powerful they can dissolve bone, though larger bones are often regurgitated later. While humans are generally too large for Australian pythons to consume whole, attacks on pets, wallabies, and even small pigs are well documented. In Southeast Asia, close relatives have been recorded killing and swallowing adult humans. The difference in outcome is largely a matter of size, not capability. What makes the python a particularly effective unit in the imagined defense network is its stealth. It can remain coiled and motionless for hours, even days, conserving energy until a potential target comes within striking range. It hunts primarily by ambush, often near game trails, water sources, or the burrows of smaller animals. The head may barely be visible, nestled among roots or beneath leaf litter, while the tongue flicks intermittently to gather scent particles from the air. These chemical cues are analyzed in the Jacobson's organ, a sensory structure in the roof of the mouth that allows the snake to taste the air. In darkness, this sense works in concert with heat-sensitive pits along the jaw, enabling the python to detect the body heat of warm-blooded prey. A person sitting at a campsite after sunset, their body radiating warmth against the cool background, is as visible to the python as a beacon. Encounters between pythons and humans in Australia are usually non-lethal, but can still be dangerous. Large specimens have been known to seize and constrict people attempting to handle them, and even non-venomous bites can cause deep puncture wounds prone to infection. More serious is the risk in isolated areas, where a constriction attack could leave a person incapacitated without immediate help. Documented cases from other regions provide a sobering reminder of potential. In Indonesia and Malaysia, reticulated pythons, similar in build and hunting style to Australian species, have killed and swallowed adult humans whole. The mechanics of those attacks are universal across the family. A sudden strike, the body looped in multiple coils, the victim's chest compressed until breathing ceases. The python's place in the ecosystem is both predator and regulator. By controlling populations of mammals and birds, it prevents overgrazing and keeps the balance of its habitat intact. This same control, in the defense theory framework, becomes a method of restricting movement. If the python's hunting routes align with human approaches to certain areas, waterholes, cave systems, or other significant landmarks, it could effectively form a living barrier, removing intruders before they advance too far. While the scientific explanation for such overlap is territory and food source, the effect is the same, a ground-level choke point in the Australian wilderness. Their adaptability also strengthens their role. Pythons are not limited to one habitat type. They thrive in rainforests, savannas, rocky escarpments, and semi-arid grasslands, shifting their behavior to suit the environment. In forests, they may climb into the canopy, using branches as hunting platforms. In open country, they may shelter in burrows or rock crevices, emerging at night to patrol along fence lines or creek beds. This versatility ensures that no terrain is entirely free of their presence. In the containment organism theory, this means there is no safe bypass. The python can operate wherever a breach attempt might occur. An often overlooked adaptation is their digestive control. After a large meal, a python can go weeks or even months without feeding again, conserving energy until the next opportunity presents itself. This allows them to maintain their post for long periods, striking only when it truly counts. Unlike predators that must hunt frequently to survive, a python can bide its time for the most strategically significant target. While some may view the python as a less immediate threat than a venomous snake or a crocodile, the danger lies in its unpredictability and near total silence. There is no warning rattle, no hiss loud enough to carry far. A person can walk within a meter of a coiled python without realizing it is there until it moves, and by then it is often too late. The environment conspires in its favor. Dry leaves that crunch under human footsteps are silent under the python's shifting coils. Shadows that obscure its presence to human eyes reveal nothing to the casual glance. In terms of human psychology, the python's threat is insidious. Fear of venomous snakes is deeply ingrained, prompting people to avoid certain areas or take visible precautions. But the python does not inspire the same level of vigilance. It does not announce itself, and so it is underestimated. In a defensive network, such an underestimation is an advantage. The intruder relaxes, the watchfulness fades, and that is when the strike comes. When seen from above, perhaps from the keen eyes of the wedge-tailed eagle, the python is an invisible thread in a much larger web. Its movements are so slow and deliberate that they barely register against the background of shifting vegetation. Yet each step it takes is toward the control of space and movement, ensuring that those who pass through the Australian wilderness do so at their peril. No noise, no mercy, no escape. At the edge of northern Australia, where the continent dissolves into warm, shallow seas, the water is deceptively calm. Sunlight scatters through turquoise shallows, the surface rippling gently under the breath of a tropical breeze. It looks inviting, a place to swim, to wade, to cross without thought. Yet beneath this stillness drifts one of the ocean's most efficient killers, a creature with no skeleton, no brain, and no eyes, but an arsenal that can stop a human heart in less than 3 minutes. This is Chironex fleckeri, the box jellyfish, the moat's poison in the theoretical defense system of Australia. It is not here to chase or to threaten. It simply exists, waiting for anything careless enough to pass through its space. The box jellyfish's body is a translucent cube, barely visible against the bright refracted light of the shallows. Hanging from each corner are tentacles, sometimes as many as 15 per corner, that can stretch to 3 meters in length. These tentacles are loaded with thousands of microscopic stinging cells, or nematocysts, each one a tiny harpoon coiled within a capsule. When triggered by contact, the harpoon fires in less than a millionth of a second, penetrating skin and delivering venom directly into the bloodstream. This is not just a chemical deterrent. It is a weapon designed to immobilize prey almost instantly. In the wild, the jellyfish uses this system to capture small fish and crustaceans. In human terms, the same system can induce shock so severe that victims drown before help can reach them. The venom's effects are devastating because it works on multiple systems at once. It attacks nerve cells, disrupting their ability to send electrical signals. It strikes at muscle cells, forcing them into spasms that can cause excruciating pain. Most lethally, it acts on the heart, triggering arrhythmias and cardiac arrest. Pain is not a side effect. It is part of the mechanism. Victims often describe the sensation as burning flesh combined with the deep electric agony of nerve injury. In severe stings, the intensity of this pain can cause a swimmer to lose consciousness within minutes, leading to drowning even if the heart continues to beat for a short time. Those who survive are often left with whip-like scars along the length of their limbs or torso, visible reminders of contact with an animal most never see until it is too late. What makes the box jellyfish such an effective coastal barrier is not just its lethality, but its near invisibility. The bell and tentacles are almost perfectly transparent, an adaptation that serves both to hide the animal from predators and to prevent prey from detecting the trap. In clear tropical water, even a diver with excellent visibility may only notice a jellyfish when it is within arm's reach, far too late to avoid contact. This invisibility is enhanced by its hunting behavior. Box jellyfish are active swimmers, using a form of jet propulsion to move deliberately through the shallows, often in the early morning or late afternoon, when light angles make detection hardest. They are not passive drifters. They navigate, they choose their paths, and they can avoid obstacles with surprising precision for an animal without a central brain. In the context of the defense network theory, the box jellyfish forms an outer ring of deterrence. It does not need to kill every intruder. It needs only to make the shoreline an environment too dangerous to cross unprotected. For much of the year, especially during the warm, wet months from October to May, the presence of these jellyfish forces communities to close beaches, post warnings, and rely on stinger nets to create narrow corridors of safety. In remote or unguarded stretches of coast, there are no such protections. The jellyfish patrols these waters in silence, an unseen blockade between the open sea and the land beyond. The animal's life cycle adds another layer to its effectiveness. Box jellyfish reproduce in estuaries and sheltered bays where fresh water from rivers meets seawater. This places them exactly in the areas most likely to be used as landing points by boats or swimmers attempting to reach shore. Juvenile jellyfish grow quickly in these nutrient-rich waters, feeding on small plankton and shrimp until they are large enough to hunt fish. By the time they reach full size, with bells up to 30 centimeters across, they are fully equipped for both offense and defense. Survivors' accounts often describe a sudden brush against the skin, followed by an immediate searing pain that intensifies with every heartbeat. The body's reaction is violent. Muscles contract uncontrollably, breathing becomes difficult, and in severe cases, consciousness fades in less than 2 minutes. In northern Australia, multiple fatalities occur each decade despite public education and safety measures. Many more incidents are non-fatal, but still life-changing, leaving victims with nerve damage, lingering hypersensitivity in the affected areas, and scars that can last for years. From an ecological perspective, the box jellyfish is part of a delicate balance. It controls populations of small fish and invertebrates, preventing overpopulation and maintaining the health of seagrass beds and coral ecosystems. In the imagined containment system, this same role becomes strategic. By maintaining control over coastal food webs, the jellyfish indirectly controls which species, including humans, can occupy or traverse these shallow zones. Its presence shapes human behavior as much as it shapes marine ecology. Tourists are warned to stay out of the water during stinger season. Fishermen avoid certain bays when jellyfish are known to be thick. Entire stretches of coast become seasonal no-go zones, not because of storms or tides, but because of an animal with no bones and no voice. Unlike crocodiles, which rely on explosive power, or eagles, which rely on high-speed precision, the box jellyfish is slow but inescapable once touched. The danger comes from the fact that it occupies the exact space a swimmer must pass through, a three-dimensional minefield suspended in water. This is compounded by the fact that tentacles can detach and remain capable of stinging for hours, even after the jellyfish itself has moved on. Contact with a drifting tentacle can be as dangerous as contact with a living animal. The jellyfish's venom is one of the most potent natural toxins known, and scientists are still unraveling its full chemical complexity. The speed at which it acts is remarkable. In lab conditions, certain components can cause heart cells to stop contracting in under 3 minutes. This speed suggests a predator that evolved to take down highly mobile prey in shallow, turbulent environments where a slow-acting toxin would allow escape. In the theoretical model of Australia as a containment organism, such speed is equally valuable in neutralizing human intruders before they can reach the shore. There is an irony to the box jellyfish's role in this imagined defense network. It is not aggressive. It does not seek out humans to attack. In a sense, it is the most impersonal of the defenders, delivering fatal or debilitating strikes without intent, driven only by contact and reflex. And yet this lack of malice makes it all the more dangerous. There is no warning posture, no bluff display, no moment in which an intruder might retreat before harm is done. The first touch is often the last choice. For those who study these animals, there is a grudging respect for their design. Their bodies are fragile. A strong wave can tear a jellyfish apart. Yet their population endures year after year, season after season. Their fragility does not weaken their defensive role. In fact, it may strengthen it by ensuring they are always present in large numbers, replenished by each new generation born in the estuaries. This constant renewal makes the coastal barrier effectively permanent, a living minefield that can never be fully cleared. In the broader context of Australia's defence system, the box jellyfish is the perimeter fence electrified with venom. It forces any would-be intruder to pause, to plan, to consider the risk before even setting foot on land. And for many, that pause is enough, because the cost of misjudgment here is not injury alone, but the sudden, overwhelming end that comes when the ocean itself lashes out with invisible whips. Beneath the leaf litter and the rotting logs of Australia's temperate forests, a quiet, patient danger lies in wait. The ground here is alive with vibrations, the subtle thrum of beetles, the slow crawl of earthworms, the muffled tread of wallabies passing through. To the Sydney funnel web spider, Atrax robustus, each of these vibrations is a coded message. Its 8 legs, spread in a perfect circle over the silken tripwires radiating from its burrow, act as a living sensor array. Every tremor is analyzed in an instant, the spider distinguishing harmless background noise from the signature of potential prey or threat. In the imagined architecture of Australia's biological defence network, this is the system's motion detector and shock troop combined. Detect early, strike decisively, and ensure the alarm is not ignored. The funnel web is an ambush predator, but unlike the python's slow patience or the crocodile's motionless vigilance, its power lies in explosive readiness. Its silk tunnel, opening into a wider burrow chamber, is not sticky like that of orb weavers. Instead, it is a tripline system. Each thread transmits vibrations directly into the spider's body, allowing it to measure size, speed, and direction without ever exposing itself. When something crosses that invisible perimeter, a cricket, a lizard, the sole of an unsuspecting human's boot, the spider reacts with startling speed, surging up the funnel to deliver its bite. The speed is crucial. In its natural predatory context, hesitation could mean a missed meal. In the context of human interaction, it means an attack before the victim even registers what has happened. The venom of the Sydney funnel web is chemically unique, containing a peptide toxin called delta atrikotoxin. Its target is the human nervous system, locking sodium channels in nerve membranes open so they continue firing uncontrollably. The result is a physiological cascade that can begin within minutes, tingling around the mouth, muscle twitching, profuse sweating, and a rapid rise in heart rate and blood pressure. As the toxin floods the system, the muscles of the face, chest, and limbs spasm violently. Without medical intervention, respiratory failure can follow, and in severe cases, death can occur in less than an hour. This potency is not universal across all animals. Many non-primate mammals are largely unaffected. This quirk of biochemistry is one of the mysteries of evolutionary adaptation. Why carry a toxin especially deadly to humans and other primates, but not to common prey? In our theoretical model, this is no accident. It suggests a weapon fine-tuned for defense against specific, high-threat intruders. The spider's attack is rarely a single strike. When cornered or disturbed, the funnel web adopts an aggressive posture, forelegs raised, fangs bared, and will often deliver multiple rapid bites, each injecting venom. The fangs themselves are substantial, capable of penetrating not just skin but soft leather and even fingernails. This means protective clothing offers limited security. Before the introduction of anti-venom in 1981, fatalities were not uncommon. One documented case involved a young boy dying within 40 minutes of being bitten. Today, with swift hospital treatment, most bites are survivable, but in remote areas far from medical care, the danger remains very real. From an ecological perspective, the funnel web fills a niche as a top invertebrate predator in its microhabitat, controlling populations of insects and other small animals. It is an ecosystem regulator, much like the python in its territory or the box jellyfish along the coast. In the containment organism theory, its role expands beyond that of predator to include early warning sentinel. The layout of its web means it is effectively listening to the ground. A series of disturbed burrows along a path could be read as the system's ground sensors activating in sequence, one spider's vibration cue potentially triggering heightened alertness in other parts of the network. Funnel web spiders are most active during warm, humid conditions, especially after rain, when males leave their burrows in search of mates. This wandering brings them into closer contact with humans, in gardens, sheds, or even inside houses. Here, the defensive capacity of the organism's sensor web extends beyond the bush into human settlements that lie within its perimeter. While most animals retreat from human presence, the funnel web's combination of territoriality and poor eyesight means it is more likely to hold its ground and strike than to flee. Their resilience is equally notable. Funnel webs can survive for days submerged in water, thanks to an air bubble they trap around their bodies, which allows them to endure flash floods in their burrows. This trait means that environmental disturbances, heavy rains, rising creeks, do not significantly reduce their defensive presence. Instead, such events often displace them into new areas, expanding their potential coverage. From the perspective of a continent-wide defense, this mobility ensures the sensor web adapts and persists regardless of changing local conditions. There is also a degree of redundancy built into their numbers. The Sydney funnel web is just one of more than 40 known species of Australian funnel web spiders, many of which have venom with similar properties. The network is not dependent on a single species or population. Even if one colony were eliminated, others in surrounding habitats would fill the gap. In a living defense system, such redundancy ensures no blind spots develop over time. For those who have encountered funnel webs, the memory often lingers. The spider's dark, glossy carapace, its disproportionately large fangs, and the almost mechanical precision of its movements create a strong impression of purpose-built menace. There is no camouflage in the traditional sense, no attempt to blend seamlessly into the background. Instead, the spider relies on its ability to dominate its immediate territory. Even in the leaf litter, the sheen of its body and the straight, taut lines of its web radiate an unspoken warning. In the wild, these traits serve to protect the spider from its own predators, such as birds, centipedes, and wasps. In the containment theory, they serve to protect something far larger, the integrity of the system itself. The funnel web does not need to roam far. Its strength lies in anchoring a position and making it too costly for an intruder to proceed unchecked. In combination with mobile hunters like pythons or surveillance from eagles, the funnel web's static but highly sensitive presence ensures there are no unmonitored approaches through the undergrowth. Before modern medicine, an encounter with a funnel web in the wrong place at the wrong time was a potential death sentence. Even today, in the wrong conditions, alone, far from help, with venom already coursing through the nervous system, the outcome can be fatal. For the imagined living fortress of Australia, this efficiency is key. A defense system that does not need to chase its target, only to detect, strike, and let biology take its course. When the forest is quiet and the night air heavy, the funnel web waits in its silk-lined tunnel, unmoving but alert. Every footstep, every shift of weight on the earth above is a signal. Somewhere in the network, other senses, in the sky, in the water, in the rivers, are attuned to their own inputs. But here, in the darkness of the soil, the alarm is armed, the tripwire set. And when the signal comes, the strike is not a warning shot. It is the system's way of ensuring that whatever moves through this place will remember the ground it walked on, if it walks again at all. In the tidal estuaries and slow-moving rivers of northern Australia, the water is not just a medium, it is a wall. Its surface mirrors the sky, concealing what lies beneath, and that concealment is by design. Somewhere under that opaque green-brown lies Crocodilus porosus, the saltwater crocodile, apex predator, territorial monarch, and in the framework of our containment theory, the unbreachable gatekeeper of inland waterways. Its domain stretches from mangrove-lined coasts deep into freshwater reaches hundreds of kilometers from Thessia, sealing every aquatic approach with the promise of sudden, violent death. The saltwater crocodile's strategy is built on patience. It does not waste energy chasing prey in open water. It becomes part of the environment itself. The broad skull rests motionless at the surface, nostrils just above the line, eyes unblinking. Beneath the water, the rest of its body hangs suspended in a state of perfect buoyancy. This stillness can last for hours, each muscle relaxed, each movement reduced to a slow drift on the current. It is not sleep, it is surveillance. The crocodile is measuring the water's vibrations, listening for the splash of a crossing animal, the rhythm of paddles, or the faint turbulence of a swimmer's legs. When it strikes, it does so with a burst of acceleration few animals on Earth can match over short distances. Propelled by the explosive sweep of its tail and the contraction of immense trunk muscles, the crocodile can surge from complete stillness to a lunging, surface-breaking attack in less than a second. The jaws close with a force of around 3,700 pounds per square inch, among the highest recorded for any living predator. That is more than enough to crush a cow's femur, and far beyond what human bone can withstand. The initial bite is only the beginning. The crocodile's teeth are not designed for slicing, but for gripping, anchoring prey, so it cannot escape as the next phase begins, the death roll. The death roll is a disorienting, flesh-tearing maneuver in which the crocodile spins its entire body along its long axis while holding its grip. This serves multiple purposes: breaking bones, tearing limbs, and removing chunks of meat. But in the context of a live capture, it is primarily a way to subdue and drown. The spin overwhelms the prey's balance, pulling it under before it can inhale. In murky estuarine water, the victim has no orientation, no sense of which way is up, only the crushing pressure of water and jaws. For humans, drowning often occurs before the full damage of the bite and roll is even realized. The camouflage that enables these ambushes is an evolutionary masterpiece. A saltwater crocodile's coloring shifts subtly with age and habitat, from dark olive to sandy brown, often with irregular mottling that blends seamlessly into the reflections of mangroves, reeds, and muddy banks. Its eyes are adapted for vision above and below the water, with a transparent third eyelid protecting them when submerged. Its hearing is acute, tuned to low-frequency sounds that travel far in water. Even the placement of its nostrils and eyes, on the top of the skull, allows it to expose the bare minimum of its head while keeping the rest of its massive body invisible. The size of these animals adds to their deterrent power. Males routinely exceed 5 meters in length and can weigh more than a metric ton. At this size, they have no natural predators apart from humans, and even humans tread carefully in their range. Such mass is not a hindrance. It is a store of energy that allows them to survive for months without feeding, maintaining their position as sentinels of key waterways through dry seasons and lean times. In our theoretical containment organism, this endurance ensures there is never a lapse in gatekeeping. The wall is always manned. The crocodile's range is vast, spanning coasts, rivers, floodplains, and even open sea crossings between islands. This mobility makes it more than a static guard. It is a patrol unit. Individuals have been recorded traveling over 500 kilometers by water, navigating by tidal currents and possibly even using Earth's magnetic fields. This ability allows them to respond to seasonal changes in river flow and prey movement, reinforcing parts of the perimeter as conditions demand. For a defense system, such adaptability is invaluable. The wall can extend, retract, or reposition itself at will. Interactions with humans tell the rest of the story. In the Northern Territory and Queensland, crocodile attacks are not rare anomalies. Each year, there are multiple incidents, and fatalities are a consistent reality. Many occur when people underestimate the crocodile's reach, standing at the water's edge to fish or collect water, unaware that a submerged hunter is already within striking distance. In other cases, swimmers or small boat users are taken mid-activity. Survivors often recount the speed and silence of the attack. There is no warning splash, no visible approach, just a sudden eruption of muscle and teeth. The ecological role of the saltwater crocodile extends beyond its fearsome hunting. It is a keystone species, shaping the behavior of other animals in its ecosystem. Prey species alter their patterns to avoid high-risk water crossings. Vegetation along riverbanks grows differently in areas with heavy crocodile presence, and carrion from crocodile kills provides food for scavengers from fish to birds. This shaping of movement and behavior is exactly what a defensive perimeter would require, not just stopping intruders, but influencing how they travel and where they dare to go. Even the crocodile's reproductive cycle fits into this framework of control. Females lay their eggs in nests built from vegetation along riverbanks during the wet season, often in locations that coincide with natural choke points in the waterways. The presence of a nesting female, which will aggressively defend her site, adds another layer of risk to would-be crossers during this period. Hatchlings themselves face high predation, but those that survive grow quickly, and juvenile crocodiles begin honing their ambush skills early, ensuring the population is constantly replenished. The physiology of the saltwater crocodile reflects millions of years of fine-tuning. Its metabolism can shift dramatically depending on activity, allowing it to remain submerged for over an hour when still, yet explode into action when needed. Its muscular tail is both weapon and engine, capable of delivering bone-breaking strikes or propelling it forward in sudden bursts. Its bite force is paired with jaw muscles so specialized that while closing power is enormous, opening power is minimal, a paradox that explains why trained handlers can restrain a crocodile's jaws with a strip of tape, but not survive being between them. In the living fortress model, the saltwater crocodile is the embodiment of the gatekeeper, an immovable, implacable barrier that does not negotiate and does not bluff. It is not everywhere, but where it is present, the message is absolute. Cross here, and you do not return. This is reinforced by its ability to operate in both salt and fresh water, denying intruders any safe aquatic corridor. Combined with aerial surveillance from eagles, ground-level constriction from pythons, venomous barriers from jellyfish, and alarm triggers from funnel-web spiders, the crocodile's role is one of final denial. If all other layers fail, the gatekeeper remains. To step into crocodile territory is to enter a domain where you are never truly unwatched. The surface may seem empty, the water quiet, but beneath lies a body honed by evolution into a living siege engine. In its stillness is the certainty of violence, in its patience, the inevitability of capture. For Australia's imagined containment organism, no fortress wall could be better suited or more final in its judgment than this ancient reptile lying in wait where land meets water. From above, the Australian continent appears vast and empty, a sweep of desert reds, coastal blues, and the deep green fringes of rainforest. But to imagine it as empty is to misunderstand it entirely. Beneath that stillness is a network. Not a human-made grid of fences and roads, but a living, breathing matrix of sentinels and enforcers, each evolved not in isolation, but as part of a coordinated system of defense. The theory is bold, that Australia itself is not merely a collection of ecosystems, but a single organism, an ancient fortress designed to guard something buried deep beneath its surface. Every fortress requires its watchtowers, and in this system, the wedge-tailed eagle fills that role. From kilometers above the ground, it sweeps its domain with vision so sharp it can distinguish the flick of a lizard's tail or the glint of metal from human gear. Each slow spiral on the wind is a reconnaissance pattern, each sudden drop to a perch a repositioning of the sensor array. In ecological terms, these eagles are apex aerial predators, regulating smaller bird and mammal populations. In the fortress model, they are more than hunters, they are the first layer of detection. No intruder enters the range without being marked from the sky, and perhaps without triggering a silent chain of alerts that travels unseen through the rest of the network. The ground itself holds its own assassins. Pythons, massive and silent, slip through undergrowth and along creek beds. They do not chase, they wait. Their coils are the final expression of efficiency, a method of neutralizing threats without a sound. In their ecological role, they regulate populations of mammals and birds, shaping the density and distribution of prey species. In the defense model, their hunting routes become kill zones, narrow corridors where an intruder's path is reduced to a fatal choice. The python's method of dispatch, suffocation through constriction, ribs cracking under slow, relentless pressure, leaves nothing for others to hear. An intruder who disappears into its coils vanishes without an alarm ever being raised. The ocean's edge, so often the first barrier to reach a defended land, is patrolled by a creature with no voice and no bones, yet an armory unmatched in its environment. The box jellyfish. Its translucent bell and trailing tentacles turn shallow water into an invisible minefield. Evolution gave it venom that works faster than almost any known toxin, capable of shutting down a human heart in minutes. In ecological balance, it controls populations of fish and invertebrates, preventing booms that could destabilize coastal ecosystems. In the fortress model, it serves as the moat, not one to be swum across under cover of darkness, but a killing ground that punishes even the smallest miscalculation. On land, in the leaf litter and shadows of rock crevices, the funnel-web spider holds its ground. Its silk tripwires and vibration-sensitive legs make it a living intrusion detector, and its venom is engineered, whether by chance or by deeper design, to be catastrophically effective against humans. Before modern anti-venom, a single bite could bring death in under an hour. In nature, it is an insect predator, keeping populations of smaller invertebrates in check. In the theory, it is the alarm system's sharpest edge, an organism that not only detects an intruder, but delivers a strike capable of ending the advance before it begins. Finally, where rivers meet the land, the saltwater crocodile anchors the defense line. It is the wall of muscle and bone, the unmoving barrier that can erupt into sudden violence. Its territory is not confined to one stretch of river, but extends across coasts and estuaries, even into open sea when needed. Ecologically, it is a keystone predator, shaping the movement of every other species in its range. In the imagined fortress, it is the last checkpoint before access to the interior, an obstacle no one crosses without risking a rapid, crushing death. Individually, each of these species is a danger in its own right. Together, their combined arsenal covers air, land, river, and sea. Fatal venom, bone-crushing force, suffocation in coils, drowning in tidal currents. Blood loss from deep lacerations. Each attack method is lethal on its own, but their real power emerges when imagined as components of a single, unified system. An eagle's overhead shadow may push a target into denser cover where pythons wait. A flooded path detours travelers to a crossing patrolled by crocodiles. Coastal routes are closed for months at a time by jellyfish blooms, forcing landing parties inland into funnel-web territory. The dangers do not just exist in parallel, they shape movement, narrowing choices until every option is high risk. In the natural world, such overlaps are the product of ecological relationships, predator ranges, seasonal migrations, food availability. In the fortress model, these overlaps are the architectural joints of a living wall, the seams where one defense blends seamlessly into the next. If the continent itself were conscious, an ancient intelligence encoded in land and life, these animals are not simply residents of their environments. They are its immune cells, patrolling borders, identifying intruders, and removing threats before they can reach whatever lies beneath. The implications of such a system are staggering. It would mean that evolution here is not purely the result of competition and adaptation, but a shaped process guided toward a singular purpose. The idea of Australia as a containment organism reframes its notorious wildlife not as a random collection of deadly species, but as the coordinated tools of an ancient design. It casts its deserts, coasts, rivers and forests not as landscapes, but as corridors, choke points and kill zones. For those who dismiss the theory, the counterpoint is always the same. Nature does not require purpose to create danger. And yet, here, the danger is everywhere, layered and overlapping, each hazard perfectly suited to its domain. Coincidence, perhaps, or evidence of a defense system so old and so well integrated that it appears to us as nothing more than nature. The final question is not whether Australia is dangerous. That much is beyond doubt. The question is whether that danger is incidental or whether it is deliberate. If deliberate, then the continent's vast interior is not empty at all, but the heart of a fortress built over millennia, its gates guarded by fang, talon, venom, and bone. And if that is the case, then what lies beneath is something that no intruder, human or otherwise, has yet managed to reach, because none have made it past the first layer of defense.